That console that looks like our scry should be the controls for the barrier. The thimble was built to interface with it.
Time to disrupt Asylum. Great timing. I owe you one.
You need to come with me. All of you.
We mustn't cause a panic.
Sure. It's not like we had a dire supplies shortage on our hands before this happened.
What do I tell the High Enchanter? The Guild will want...
Enough. We won't discuss this further. Not in front of our guests. Identify yourselves.
Aurea Harpenay, or Silverbeak, as I'm known among Weaver circles. This is my band, and beside me is our acting point.
Bryn. And you are?
Khan Stuneld, Eye of the Enclave. My colleagues are the Spindle and the Axle, representatives of the Enchanting and Crafting Guilds. Who sent you?
Sent us?
Tarza? Renland? Udea? The Enclave is the envy of the Maida for its magical prowess. Clearly one of those nations has finally grown a spine and decided to take it for themselves in our moment of weakness.
Moment.
No one sent us. We came here by accident.
What kind of fool do you take me for? You expect me to believe that you bypassed our veil, infiltrated our loom gates, and breached Asylum without a national power backing you?
When you put it that way.
This is a misunderstanding. We're Weavers, like you. There was a brief opportunity to enter the Enclave for the first time in decades, and we took it. Everything we've done since we arrived has been to uncover what happened here after the Surge. And to find you.
If that is true, have you really no inkling of the trouble you've caused?
No.
Your reckless conduct has unleashed an enemy that nearly destroyed us 27 years ago.
The Surgeborn. They first appeared a little over a decade after the Veil went up.
Where did they come from?
No one knows. But they arrived in the Underworks before making their way to the surface.
Where they left a trail of destruction in their wake and wreaked havoc on the Enclave.
Causing casualties to rise.
And so I called for a retreat here, saving countless lives. We sealed the Surgeborn in the Underworks for good. Until now.
Hey, we can put the Surgeborn back where we found them. What goes out must go in, right?
That is not precisely a fundamental law of nature.
Your actions are irreversible. We no longer have a method to contain the Surgeborn.
You didn't have a contingency plan?
Asylum was the contingency.
Look, Surgeborn or not, we had no choice but to remove the barrier. Though I suppose we owe you thanks for warning us about the floods.
Who warned you?
You did.
Did we? I'll deal with you later.
While we can agree Arakim breached no contact protocol, it has proven to be the right decision. The floods were growing worse, and now they have stopped. Even if fixing them has introduced a new problem.
One my band would be more than happy to help you solve.
Ha! Work together.
Sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned your last name earlier. Any relation to Shireen Harpenay?
She was my mother. You know who she is?
Of course! I mean, before my time, obviously. But she's still renowned in the Enchanting Guild. Her work is remarkable. There's a statue of her in Denevron, you know?
Oh. I can't believe she didn't mention that.
There is so much I'd love to ask you, but for now, Aurea comes from a long bloodline of outstanding and renowned weavers. Shouldn't that buy her band some grace?
All right. Your presence in the outskirts will be tolerated. Nothing more.
What about the Surgeborn?
What about them?
Shouldn't we work together to deal with them?
We could use the help.
The Surgeborn are a problem for anyone in the outskirts, not us. Cassidon's Hold is a fortress.
The scouts do head into the outskirts to scavenge for supplies.
We'll take our own precautions. Speaking of, we have pressing matters to attend to.
But
Enough! My word is final.
Bryn, the one that led us here is clearly the one that warned us. Try to talk to him before we leave. Maybe he'd...
Will do.
Can never make out Stanley's writing.
Hey, Arakim, was it?
oh, just call me Arik.
Well, Arik, I never got a chance to thank you. You know, for grabbing me before I fell to my death.
I think you had it. Besides, I couldn't let you plummet into a chasm. The Eye is pretty peeved with me, but hey, that's just a bonus.
You and the Eye don't seem to get along very well.
What gave it away? The mutual contempt. The Eye doesn't like anyone who shows initiative or challenges him. Unfortunately, those are my main qualities. And I suspect he...
Yeah, I didn't get the impression he's my biggest fan. Will you be in trouble for saving us?
I'd worry if he ever decided to get off his throne and do something about it. But he finds that throne very comfortable.
So you're not upset that I breached Asylum, like your colleagues?
I've been pushing to do something about the Surgeborn for years now. Setting them free wasn't great, but sealing them in the underworks indefinitely was never a good solution. Frankly, I think Khan Stanhild is just annoyed you undid his one claim to fame. I guarantee he has no plans to do anything about the Surgeborn now that they're free.
You don't think he sees them as a threat?
He's got his head in the sand about a lot of things.
So, are you glad we're here?
I'm thrilled you're here.
I have to say, I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for all that cloak and dagger stuff earlier. Khan Stanhild had me on strict orders not to make contact with your Weaver band. But it was the right call. From what I just saw, your presence here is having an impact.
How so?
Notice how the Axel took my side against the Eye earlier. That never happens. And the Spindle is as quiet as a mouse most of the time, but not today.
Uh-huh. So these are big changes.
It might not sound like much, but they're excited you're here. Staniel can tell too. That's why he backed down so easily. And that's why...
You seem awfully trusting of us, considering the terrible first impression we've made.
I was spying on you the first time we met, so let's call it even.
Sure. Maybe you know everything already then, but have you got any questions for me?
Just one. Why are you here?
Decades of war across the Maida followed after the Surge. Magic and weavers, without the Enclave as a stabilizing force, it's as if the world outside has splintered into factions, divided by chaos, and not to mention the lands surrounding the Veil are completely shrouded in tangles. I'm here to bring down the Veil, and play a small part in restoring the Maida Basin to what it was before the Surge.
Wow. That's a big picture vision if I ever heard one. If that's truly what you want, then dealing with the Surgeborn is the first step. Ever since the Veil went up, our people have been in crisis. They've spent so long in it, they're afraid to do what it takes to get out. It doesn't help that some have benefited off that same crisis.
Who?
Who always benefits? The very top. Our leaders are too preoccupied with their own concerns to form a unified front against the Surgeborn.
Such as?
The Spindle is obsessed with getting the Arcs functional again. She believes that will help us regain control. And the Axle is too stressed about our supply shortage right now. But, if their concerns were handled, they could pressure the Eye to finally address the Surgeborn.
That sounds like an opportunity. And are you a representative yourself? Do you have sway?
Representative, yes. Sway? No. I represent the Scouts, meaning I'm at the meetings, but I don't have the title to back me up. The Scouts were once points like you, but our role has changed since the Veil went up. We were effectively drafted into scavenging for food and supplies. It made sense following the Surge, but it's been years. Recently, we've even been separated from Cassidan's hold and the remaining civilians. Which is what needs to happen before we can even think about tackling the Veil.
Sounds like I've got some palms to grease.
Yuck. But I'll come by your camp later. We'll be able to speak more freely there.
What is that about?
The Eye isn't one for idle chit-chat. That's worth watching.
Talk to you back at our camp.
You got it.
Sev, you all right?
No. I mean, yes. I'm fine.
You sure?
Bryn, the rest of us are heading out. See you back at camp.
I got to go.
Excuse me, but Arakim mentioned you're the Spindle, a leading representative for the High Arcanists.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
We wanted to formally introduce ourselves. I'm Aurea, as you know. This is Darm, our enchanter, and Bryn, our acting point.
We didn't catch your name earlier. Khan?
Just call me Isla. Is there something I can help you with?
We'd actually like to help you. Apparently you want to restore the Arcs.
Shh! Not so loud. Sorry, that sounds wonderful, but the Eye won't be happy about us collaborating.
Listen, we can be more discreet. We're not here to cause trouble. We only want to help.
I appreciate that. And you're right. I do want to fix the Arcs. More than anything. I just need you to be quiet about it.
Okay. We'll try, but Forgive us if our excitement bubbles over and we forget.
It's Dom. He's the one that might forget.
We know that the arcs began malfunctioning after the surge. A select few were even sabotaged. Any idea on what caused the other malfunctions?
Some theories, but nothing solid. Anyone who knew how to create arcs, let alone fix them, died before I was born. I've tinkered with an inactive arc that's lying near the Grand Gate, but it would make a world of difference if I could study a resonance that was freshly harvested from a great arc's pattern.
Consider it done.
Rin's got you covered. She has a knack for harvesting great archons.
You'll have it in no time.
If you're sure, I certainly would appreciate it. With discretion, of course.
Right.
We've been talking a while. You'd better go. Before Asylum, all the loom gates were reset so that the Surgeborn couldn't use them to continue spreading. How did you reconnect to the city?
We tracked down a key swatch to Denevron. Found it in the mayor's home in Poldervale.
Your band is quite resourceful.
Dom loves discussing magical theory. He would be thrilled to speak with the Enclave's leading enchantress.
That is tempting. But the Eye wouldn't be pleased if he caught me speaking to your band any more than I have to. No offense, but I should really get back to work.
I am simply telling you, as the foremost leader of the Enclave, that I don't want you getting distracted.
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean. Eyes down, know your place. Focus on your own problems. Organize your little craftspeople. Keep the wheels of civilized society greased.
If you have a problem with my performance, you are welcome to gather feedback from the people who elected me. They may have a clearer understanding of what I bring to the table.
We'll continue this conversation later.
Hirun, Khan Atme. Allow me to formally introduce you to Bryn, the Weaver Band's point.
You're the Axel, right? Arakim says you're a good person to know.
I am. My given name is Hirun, as Arakim said, but you may refer to me as Khan Atme. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, despite the circumstances. And I wish they were better circumstances. The new Surgeborn threat requires us to realign our priorities. Some are a little slower on that than others.
If there's anything we can do to move things along, I'm at...
What about the supply shortage? I've seen her in combat. She's better than any of us.
What's her help look like? I'd prefer if she could avoid unleashing another apocalypse on us.
Unleashing the Surgeborn wasn't our best moment. What can I do to make your life easier?
Beyond asking the Enchanting Guild to develop time travel magic so you can go back and not do that, there's a silver lining to this Surgeborn situation that we're suddenly in a position to take advantage of.
Count me in.
Right. With the Surgeborn unleashed, we're anticipating casualties and damage to our facilities. However, there's a restricted area in the underworks that we lost access to decades ago when an arcane laboratory where the Enclave conducted its enchantment research, among other projects. Inside the Institute lies a significant supply cache. Its contents will be enough to keep us going, for the time being. If the notes the previous Axel left me are accurate, though, there's an additional complication.
Of course.
The Surgeborn secure territory by building structures, akin to insect hives. The Institute is likely overrun with them, and has been for 20-odd years.
So, The Surgeborn are a long-standing threat.
I wish I were old enough to remember what it was like to live without the fear of the Surgeborn. As a child, I sat awake every night worrying about them. Knowing what I know now,
I'm sorry you went through that. It must have been hot.
Thank you. You'll hear no disagreement from me, now that the game board has been upended.
Sounds like I need to clear any Surgeborn hives from the Institute, then.
That'll thin them out enough that my scouts will be able to access the supply cache without much...
Now that Asylum is lifted, we should be able to access the loom. I'm going to trust you with this key swatch. It's been gathering dust for over 25 years.
Only the Eye would let such a crucial resource sit there for that long.
Yes. If we're clear on everything, I'll get back to work. Someone has to keep this goddamn fortress running.
What's your history here? Have you been the Axel for a long time?
Why do you care?
You seem like someone who deliberately underplays her hand. I'd hate to play a game of Panjal against you.
All right. I'll take that as a compliment. I was elected to this seat 8 years ago. I've done a good enough job to be re-elected.
What made you decide to run for leadership?
My predecessor was incompetent and took bribes. The guild members tolerated it for a time, but eventually enough was enough. The Eye never seemed to have a problem with it, though.
Do you think he's taking bribes?
You really aren't afraid of asking dangerous questions, are you? I personally haven't seen any evidence of his corruption. He believes in his own judgment too much to accept a bribe. It's easier to bribe the lower-level guild members anyway.
Isn't that a bad thing?
The wheels of society must needs be greased. If they do any more than skim a little off the top, I'll come down hard on them. And that's why I've managed to keep my job. Well, part of why, anyway.
How's your working relationship with the Eye? Is he your superior?
He would like to think so. His seat casts the final vote when the council cannot make a decision.
But his seat has more power than that.
Khan Stanield wields power beyond the traditional bounds of the Eye's seat, yes. But he is our savior, so surely he must know better than any of us. Which is to say, he is technically the highest-ranked official in the Enclave. But he hasn't faced an election in decades. In contrast, I have, let's call it, popular support.
So, what does an Axel do all day?
It varies. Some of my predecessors have been very hands-on, as befits a representative of the physical trades. That's not my strong suit, though. So I end up with my beak buried in paperwork. Maintaining supply lines, as it turns out, is considered extremely helpful.
That all makes sense? Thanks for taking a moment to talk. All this wreckage scattered throughout the room. Why haven't you guys cleaned it up?
Khan Stanild ordered us not to.
And that's because he wants to keep it messy?
Correct. Speaking frankly, my impression is that he wanted any visitors to feel as if we were still in a major state of crisis. Though visitors are few and far between. Upper government officials only, all of whom are working from offices with roofs. We are the lucky few over here, it seems. What a privilege it is to work in a building that is open to the weather. I understand the motivation of wanting to wait until we'd found everyone a place to live. But we achieved that 20 years ago. Thousands of survivors rehomed. And yet, I still have to step over puddles to get to my desk.
Need I remind you that your access to Cassidon's hold is restricted?
Oh. I didn't mean to intrude.
You would do well to mind yourself, newcomer, or risk losing the privilege of coming to Cassidon's hold entirely. So, you.
Me?
The one causing trouble. The one poking into corners. The one who hasn't the good sense to leave well enough.
Had you allowed Arakim to reach out to us sooner, this could have been avoided.
Arakim has a proven record of poor judgment on matters of protocol. I will not be lectured by the person who put us all at risk on... But I'm being impolite. Let us start afresh, shall we? Please. Share what you hope to accomplish by loitering around the hold.
The things I saw pouring out of the underworks are a real problem. It's clear they've been strangling the Enclave all this time.
The elusive Surgeborn. They are, I will tell you, there is a cunning in what passes for their eyes. They are dangerous, though perhaps not...
Meaning?
Meaning you should proceed with caution, and that your confidence in this matter is misplaced.
Like it or not, I'm here to help.
The Enclave stands on a blade's edge. Stretch our resources too thin on risky ventures, and we face certain elements of our population call for action, for bold purpose. And I ask you...
Well...
Purely rhetorical. We must survive, and we must make considered, careful moves. There is no sacrifice too great towards that. You, at least, understand the precarity of our situation.
I do.
Thank you for your time.
But...
Let's talk in your camp. I can
to harvest a resonance from one of these massive arcs.
now. Dispel her nerves.
Only one way to find out. How are you settling in, Eric? Things going well?
Good. Yeah, they're fine.
Just good?
No, not really. Something's going on at the hold, and it's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The Eye publicly scorched you for opening up Asylum, and yet I've heard him telling the Spindle that this could be a good thing. Meanwhile, the runners are stretched paper thin keeping supplies moving, which, of course, leaves my people no time to deal with actual threats.
Sounds like you could use some help. What's the problem?
Really? Oh, dancing winds, where to start? No, wait, I know. The Spitfires. A particularly aggressive group seems set on spreading through Deneb. In particular, they're building nests in some areas I was hoping to use as training ground.
Would the areas be safe if I took care of the nests?
Yes, though the nests are very durable.
Consider it done. Anything else?
Maybe an odd request.
Why not ask her yourself?
I feel like I have a lot to learn from Oria.
She is a force of nature.
Sword and... Nice to work on something a little lighter every once in a while. It's going to look great